Welcome back to another engaging episode of Competitive Games. Last episode we studied the problem of the player/lobbyist and whether we should think of them as scrubs or proponents of balance. In this episode we are going to slow down and look at an example of what the past episodes have been talking about. Specifically, we will be looking at the real-time strategy game Starcraft 2. As we proceed, I will try to explain things with the understanding that not all viewers are familiar with the game, but please understand that we won't have time to labor over every detail. Starcraft has 3 playable races, each with specific units, strengths, and weaknesses. One of the playable races are the Terran, or the human race. Another of the races are the Zerg, a hive mind-type insectoid race. As a real-time strategy game, players must establish an economy and a military force, marshalling harvested resources to fund production facilities and units, each with varying purposes. The basic objective of the game is to eliminate the opposing player or players. One of the Zerg strengths is the ability to expand quickly across the game map, creating new bases of operation at resource nodes. This allows them to establish a more robust economy than the other races. However, the trade-off is that the Zerg combat units are less efficient than those of other races, so Zerg are expected to have a stronger economy to produce more units to win battles. Expanding early so as to harvest more resources also costs valuable resources that could be spent on defensive units. So, when a Terran player faces a Zerg player, the Zerg are required to expand early to win the later battles, and often the Terran will produce units to harass the vulnerable and exposed early Zerg expansion. One primary tactic of harassment is the bunker rush, where the Terran player erects a building to shelter military units within firing range of the Zerg expansion. The bunker protects the Terran units while they wreak havoc on the enemy player's second base. This tactic has often been labeled cheesy by players of many calibers. That doesn't mean, though, that bunker rushing is a foolproof strategy or that in an early expansion bunker rush situation the Terran will always come out on top. There are viable strategies for countering or successfully fending off the bunker rush, which we don't have time to get into today. Despite the developing strategies deployed by Zerg players to deal with Terran bunker rushes, many players would have changes made to fix or balance the game, and, to an extent, the developers have listened, making some changes that mitigates the effectiveness of bunker rushing, what is lost with such balance changes. If a patch had not been implemented, would Zerg have continued to develop better and sounder techniques for dealing with such rushes? We will never know. The game is still young and strategies are continually being refined and invented. Even so, changes are still made in an attempt to please players and balance design. Whether this is good or bad is up for debate in every instance of complaints and changes. That's all for this episode. Thanks for stopping by, and, as always, keep on gaming.